So to find an instrument that might suit
That could
things.
be the clip that really starts the video. Like
Oh, yeah, yeah,
you
perfect.
turning to me going, that sounded pretty ass, but we could do another take. About 10 years ago, I tried Ableton Push 1. I thought it was going to be the solution to all of my sort of tactile interface problems, and for some reason it never quite gelled with me, and I kind of put the Ableton Push on the shelf for a long time. But in the coming months, I have to go overseas and perform some live sets. And as you might know on the channel, I've got this big modular synthesizer, which I love improvising with, but taking that on planes and traveling is a bit of a head wreck. So I was wondering, could I not build something with the Ableton Push 3 that could sort of scratch the same itch, more or less, that could allow me to perform something coherent with some improvisation and some sound design on the spot, and that could be easily transportable. And while I was asking myself that question, I was like, if only I had some super veteran expert on the Push who was coincidentally also my friend and coincidentally also lives in Brussels. And I was like, oh wait, I do actually know somebody like that. Andri, would you like to present yourself?
Hey everyone, thank you Oscar for having me, and indeed everything that you said is true. I'm a Push obsessive for forever, since the very first one. I think I bought the first one that landed in Belgium because I was emailing Ableton like, where can I get it? And we know each other forever, and when you said, let's talk about Push, I was like, yeah, of course, let's do it.
For those of you who are unfamiliar with what Ableton Push is, how would you describe it, Andri? Just at its most fundamental level, what does it do?
I think it is an incredible sketchpad. It creates ideas faster than I think almost anything else, period. And you can basically touch Ableton physically with Push. I also think better and more intuitively than a lot of other options, which you've got to spend a lot of time setting up. This is ready to go, and it is a tactile surface for Ableton Live, where you can go pretty deep still, but it still keeps you focused on enough things. You can really make, I think, amazing things with just those features, and which are always, of course, growing slowly over time.
I've seen you do a bunch of improvised performances with it. Yeah. Like on your channel, you can see these like beautifully produced improvisations, right?
Sure.
Where you have these beautiful top-down shots. I really see you use it as a performance tool, as an improvising instrument. Yeah, that's a beautiful way to approach it.
For sure. It's a friend of mine, Andres, who also lives in this town, by the way. He said early on when I got like Push 1, he's like, make it your instrument. And I've taken that forward since then as the thing where I'm like, okay, I don't want anything else. It's not that I'm dissing the other things out there. There's a lot of cool stuff out there, but I need focus. I really need focus, because otherwise my brain runs into all other possibilities. And this has given me that instrumental type muscle memory I can build up, because I do like to lean into that where I can. And gives me the limitations and the focus that it also naturally has, as anything it does, you know. So for me, it's changed my life. If I'd not come across Push, I was getting into a really frustrated state with setting up software and hardware and ins and outs and stuff. It's not really my thing, because I get lost in too many details. And with this, it really, for real, just released me into like just with the focus, you know, the one thing. Never thinking about anything else helps so much. Yeah.
In the coming weeks, I'm going to have to go into overdrive mode designing a live set that I will be doing in Canada in May. And so I'm basically trying to get it clear in my head. What do I need to prepare to make that happen, you know? Yeah. And this set has a bunch of different constraints. It needs to work at a bunch of different tempos. So I need to be able to trigger quite predictable stuff, but then also I want to leave space for me creatively sound designing some things on the fly. So at the moment, that's how I'm approaching this instrument, is with this puzzle of like, okay, how do I want to approach this? How do I want to design these sounds? Do I want to design my own synthesizer patches in like a wavetable? Yeah. And then I could just play those with sort of by triggering the MIDI notes here. Yeah. But my understanding is that if I design a wavetable patch there, I can play that here.
Oh yeah. Like anything that's Ableton native, including all of the library of samples that come with Suite, it's already there anyway.
Okay.
Assuming you've bought Live Suite, that means that it's just one-to-one, which is super nice. And that is also why I liked using the native devices, because they're going to be fast and reliable, meaning that you don't need to worry about VSTs crashing and so on, because it doesn't run VSTs, it only runs Ableton Live native devices and instruments.
Clear.
But I have a lot of thoughts on what you just talked about in terms of your live show, and I have obviously a lot of experience with many things I've tried. So I've now got my sort of slightly fixed philosophy, but we can talk about all the different ways you could possibly go with it and what you should keep in mind if you go those different ways.
I mean, you've been performing live on Ableton Push for more than 10 years now. We were just talking about timelines since like at least 2016.
2014 I put out, I think one of the also very early videos on Push, because like literally like I hounded Ableton, like tell me where can I get this thing, got it, and then a local venue said, can you do a show? And I was like, I can like play on this thing. And I literally turned up and did an improvised show for half an hour, and then people clapped, and I was like, what? You know, that is the moment my whole world changed, you know?
It wasn't in Mima by any chance, was it?
No, this one was at the unpronounceable Beursauburg.
The Beursauburg, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. So you've seen it all in a certain sense.
This is the key thing that has to happen, I think, if I may, for your live set and for anyone performing, is you have to enjoy it. You have to find a way where you can get in your flow and you can just go. That is going to be the thing they're going to feel. They can feel it. I swear to goodness, you know, like they know it. And they'll see it in the way you are. So that everything is about getting to that place. Whatever it is, whatever tools, however complicated, however simple, it has to be that mode that you end up in. That's going to be best for you, best for the audience.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, 100%. I remember this, like, you know, when a DJ is, for example, DJing vinyl, and the record completely scratches because of some vibration. Yeah. Everyone looks at the DJ, and how they react sets the tone for the room. If they look like, oh no, it's a catastrophe, everyone feels that.
Totally. Yeah.
But if they look like, that was funny, and then put it back,
absolutely.
It's like, that was funny.
You get heroes that get made, like in the Fred Again thing when he's DJing, and then this guy dancing really enthusiastically accidentally presses the stop button. The CDJs, everything stops, and people are like, oh no, this is bad. And he turns and gives the guy a hug. And you're like, so that's a true performance. Yeah. As you reminded me when I did another show in that other venue, and I got up and I first spent, you know, a couple of minutes apologizing for being there, because I was still in that mode of like, I need to pre-apologize in case it's not very good, and actually I'm burdened with all kinds of stuff I've not dealt with yet, so now I'm going to kind of tell you, and anyway, I'm going to start now. And you were like, afterwards, you gave me some of the best advice ever, which is like, dude, the one thing an audience like needs is a reason to cheer. So give them at least one, you know, because it is about that respect back and forth, because that's the nature of the thing. It's a relationship, and it deserves that respect. So that your wise words then changed a lot for me.
I remember the woo moments, because I remember sitting there thinking, I'm just waiting for the moment to go woo.
Yeah.
And then if your monologue doesn't clearly indicate where.
No, it just sort of goes, oh, okay, sorry, now I'm going to start, you know. Yeah, but that is. Look, we are human beings, and when we get up on stage, we're going to be challenged within ourselves and out with ourselves with all of the stuff that goes along with that. So that's its whole other journey. Yeah. Don't let me talk about it too much unless you want that, because I can go on all day. And the other part is the technological part and the musician part. There's gold in there. There's gold in there for everyone, is what I also want to say. It's not all doom and gloom and tough stuff. It's a lot of beautiful things as well. So.
I wonder, could we move to the push now? And could I ask you to just sort of outline what we discussed, aka show the session view, then the drum sequencer, a synthesized element as well. Yeah. Just to show the sound palette or the tools, and then go from there.
Sure.
Yeah?
Sounds good.
Nice.
All right, so what I have loaded here is my live set, which is called Playground, and it has 8 tracks in it. And we've got 2 here I want to talk about. So one is in the drum mode. So this is my own drum kit that I've made and changed over time. And then we've got a melodic note mode here where we can play, you know, melodic thing. It's like in a bass line. And where things excel, because right now we're in the note mode, is that we can make ideas really quickly. So we could take a kick and just program it in really quickly. And we could add a snare. We could take a repeat, put it on 16ths, and then do some hi-hats.
Sick. Okay, sick.
And it's really, really smooth. And then, for example, over on the kick, I could go over and add some different effects.
Right.
So, and I could do that on per step, for example. I think some of the techno audience might be interested in that. The per step automation is super cool. I could also add some effects just on that particular. So already you can start making something really quick.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, it's like ridiculously fast, you know.
Whoa.
So that is already the drums. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know anything faster than that personally. Like,
amazing.
Yeah. And we're just touching the surface, like with the whole drum stuff. Like there's amazing stuff in there.
Man, that was so fast.
Yeah.
So there was like live recording, there was per step automation.
Yeah, sequencing. You can do stuff super fast. You can run a whole live set on one drum rack all night long. And I've done it, and it was one of the coolest experiences ever. Like playing dance music, completely improvised, in, out, deleting, throwing stuff, making new things, and crowd going wild. And I was like, okay, does it get better? I don't know.
And when you're on the kick drum, and you wanna clear all the notes, can you just like clear one of the pads?
Yeah, you could hold down delete and just tap the pads and they're all gone.
And that's notes deleted, but
that's
the sound
notes deleted. Yeah, but you could also pop it open and just mute the kick itself. That would be another way.
Oh, right.
And I mean, I'll come to the live performance aspects of it, I guess, at some point, because I do think sometimes a second controller for the key things you're always going to be doing might be a very good idea.
Yeah.
Ableton Push is not set up for live performance in general, in my opinion. Not exactly, but you can get there. When I used to perform dance music regularly, I would have at least one little controller for muting the kick and stuff that I absolutely must.
Some kind of MIDI controller type thing.
Yeah. So that, like, say I'm playing something on a melodic thing, I don't want to have to move over here to then mute it, you know. So then over here I've got like a bass sound or a selection of bass sounds. What's really fun with this is that I've got a whole bunch of sounds I can just cycle through, just with the scroll wheel. And these are just sounds that I've designed over the years and I found useful, and I can quickly get to a place that I like. And so we've got our drum thing playing over here. So what we could do here is we could use repeat to make a bass line. Put on 8, maybe a bit slow, but let's see.
And it's always quantized?
Yeah. I missed the beginning there, so I'm just going to come in and drop that note in a second.
Oh, wow, okay, that's new.
And of course, at this point, we can also bring in some automation. And use some reverb. Yeah, I mean, come on, it's so fast.
Yeah, that's wild.
And I'll just roll with the logic is that what I've learned over the years is that 8 tracks is more than enough to do a lot of stuff with. And, you know, to have it broader than that means you're cycling around a lot. And that's what I used to have with Ableton Live and session views, that I would have all these grouped tracks and all of these ideas, and you have this kind of cascade diagonally across the session view. And I would get so lost or nervous about like where I was. Whereas here, my world are these 8 tracks and session mode. That's the drum idea. That is the bass idea.
Yeah.
And if I want, I can now record some other ones here. And this is one scene. And if I like, I can move to the next scene and start making new things. Or even like from here, like duplicate the bass line. And then,
oh, nice. And make a variation on it or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I would be like more in a mode of, so I'm just going to stop everything now. Okay, now I want a different scene where the drums are out, and I can come over to the pad, back in note mode, and just put something in here, whatever we like. You can come in clip view and kind of see what I'm doing. So we'll just leave that like that for now. Maybe make the release a bit longer. Now we have one scene, it's a different vibe obviously, and we can go back to the drum one.
Nice. And so the MIDI notes stop playing on the pad, but it like tails off.
Yeah, because I use ridiculously long release, because I love stuff that flows.
Yeah.
Because I don't like it when it just suddenly cuts. I mean, it's cool to cut some stuff, but not everything.
Yeah. Because if you had just put sample loops, for example, on your session view, then it would have like cut from one to the other.
Yeah, or you need to use some effects to let them bleed into each other. And I'm all about like this idea of moving between rooms, and you want one, but you can still hear it. Like you can still hear the tail end of the place you were in, and now you're in another one.
Yeah. So I could imagine really curating the drum kit, so that would really be like my techno drum kit.
Yeah.
And then improvising or having some skeletons, some basic patterns that I know are a good time, and then extending from there in an improvised way.
For sure. That could be a totally legit way of going, or that you could also, like, there's so many different ways of cooking it, because you could say, okay, I'm gonna have 10 minutes of solid build-up that nobody can complain about. And once everything is good, and I feel like also everything, like 'cause in new venues, you don't know what you might be dealing with, you could then say, now I'm gonna have this moment of release in a different room, and I'm gonna just make something, see how that feels, and then you could go back to other material. So that's another way of going. But like I said, you could run a whole thing on just a drum rack, and something I've not seen many people do, which is absolutely epic, is you can load samples into the drum rack. So you can actually have that function as something which contains lots of loops and things. You could, like I say, do a one-track show if you wanted.
Incredible. This is already super inspiring. I know that over the past few years you've been building up your own instrument in a way that suits your mind very well, right?
Yeah.
And you have something called Playground.
That's it.
What is that?
So Playground is this. It's these 8 tracks with 1,000 plus sounds in there that I've designed myself, with all of the controls that I want to have. So for example, DR1, that's the drum kit, that's like the drum kit that I always wanted to have. So an ability to go through a bunch of different kicks with all the kind of effects that I want, really nasty stuff. And I didn't find this anywhere else. Like, there are some nice ones built into Live these days. Like, they've improved the 808 a lot, but they don't have built-in sends and returns for individual pads, which is super nice, and it's way more organic sort of drum sequences you can build up that way, especially with the per step automation. So then, developed it further and made like a whole bunch of bass sounds that I wanted to have at hand, pad sounds and lead sounds. I work on this color scheme of blue is atonal, red is the lower bass stuff, orange is the mid pad stuff, and yellow is the higher lead stuff, because it just in my brain, that's how it works. And over in green, I've got the kind of organic stuff. So this is all samples. This is a train sample from Brussels, because you've got these really old school trains, a few of them still running around Belgium, and they make the craziest sounds. Like, listen to that. And then I can filter that stuff and pitch it and do all kinds of other stuff, or send it through some effects and start making.
I love the names of your effects. Glitch, tear, erode, grind, reduce, soak, and stretch.
Yeah. We've got stretch going here. Yeah, no, I wanted stuff that talked to me, and just in one device, one audio effects rack, they would all be there. Again, 8 things. I'm always working with kind of 8s, just like 8 here, 8 there. Never 9, never, because I'm like, no, not allowed, Andri, not allowed to think of another thing. Because it's that focus helps a lot. And then there's a couple of channels here which run actually everything. This one has got all of those inside it, and this one has all of those inside it. Effectively, all the sounds are in there in case I want extra percussion or extra bass line.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then the last one is what I call the pre-master. So everything feeds through the pre-master. And the pre-master means that here, rather than over here on the master, or what we now call the main track, I can do effects. And the crazy thing is I can also automate those effects on that track.
Right.
Which is, again, something you can't do on the master or the main track, sorry, if you're playing in session view. But that's a bit of a more involved topic, but that allows me to do everything I need to do, basically.
That looks incredibly powerful. And my understanding is that also there's a bunch of connectivity on the back, right? So you can have guitar pedals, but in my case, I'd be very interested in MIDI in and MIDI out. But then also, there's also this like ADAT in and out. So this thing can function as like a sound card. Like I've seen, for example, on Aura's channel, what he does is he might send signals out from this to his modular to play the modular, and then the audio of the modular comes back in via ADAT into one of the channels, and so it's like having this thing be the brain for an instrument that he can then manually control for, so he can combine the things that are inside there and the external instruments.
Yeah, he's proving the other strength of Push is that it can act as the hub, because it is Ableton Live in physical form. From there you can send stuff out, bring it back in, and just have stuff which is very easy to set up. And what I think is the killer aspect of that is the fact that you can work with a mouse and a keyboard super quickly with Ableton Live, set something up just like you want it with tools which are really well set up for generating chain selectors and all that kind of stuff, and then bring it over to Push.
Good.
And then never touch that stuff and not touch it anymore, because you can't. A lot of stuff you can't do. So, and Ura's stuff is super cool, always really liking what he's coming. I don't know how he finds the time. And with ADAT, you can indeed pipe in multiple channels of audio in and out, which is already really cool because you can hook it up to like an expander, which you could use as your studio hub for ins and outs. And you can also use the ADAT to hook that up to modular to control your modular system, or use the built-in ones. Link audio is a new thing, like in 12.4. So it's in the beta right now, which everybody can join if they want, if they're watching this video. And what that does is it allows you either over Wi-Fi to send audio between a push and another push, or push and a computer, or using a USB or like a hard wired connection. So that, I think, is probably the thing which might eventually supplant or replace ADAT, because then you'll be able to just use USB or USB Ethernet to send a lot of audio, probably even more channels, I would have thought. I've not actually checked it out yet, but I'll be doing that soon, obviously.
I'm excited because one thing I was a bit afraid of was having to design everything on the interface here and feeling like it would be overwhelming or get lost. The idea that I can be in my comfort zone inside of Ableton Live, designing the instruments, and once they sound the way I want them to, teleport them, which is the technical term, right?
Exactly.
Teleport them onto the Push. Yeah, that's encouraging.
No, that's a nice way of working, and it's maybe it's a little bit like, we have a studio and we have our home. Like, you can slightly have a separation between church and state. I mean, I make the Push Bible, I have to make that joke. But like, where you do one thing one place and then another you do something else. You can do actually a crazy amount of stuff if you want. If you start digging in. Yeah. I think for some sound design with Wavetable, because it was, for example, a good example of a synth that was designed with Push in mind, then you can do a whole bunch of stuff. Sure.
I was struggling recently by trying to get very into the Electron analog rhythm, and its menu divingness of it all was something that kept breaking the flow for me, where I would know how to do something, have to go to the manual and then get stuck. And I feel like having Ableton as sort of the comfort zone is helpful for this.
That's it. I mean, I could talk a lot about the very cool aspect of the ecosystem of being able to make something on Move and then it's already in the clouds. I think that's such a brilliant way of moving and really useful for us with the tools that we have, a computer or a piece of hardware to move between them. Of course, in the end, we have to do the the work or the play to actually get that done. But but yeah, I'm with you on the Electron stuff. That I tried and I retreated.
When they were launching the Push 3 a few years ago, one of the terms I heard a lot in the marketing material was MPE.
Yeah.
What is that?
That's our friend MIDI polyphonic expression.
Oh, of course, our friend MIDI polyphonic expression. That's a snazzy marketing term.
Isn't it just? Long story short, it means we can slide our fingers between notes, which is just epic. And what you can also do, and I don't know if this sound's got it built in. Let's take this one. If I move my finger up and down the pad, I can slide up into the filter. So that means you can have a bunch of notes and you can pick them out.
Whoa.
And when you combine that with, a little bit of practice, you get insane results, like stuff where, like, it's just magic, You do get dying cats sometimes, which honestly is the biggest, like, hard thing to deal with in the beginning. You're like, oh wow, that was tough. But with a few hours of practice, it quickly kind of, the magic sets in. And there's settings in there where you can make it more or less sensitive, and sometimes you can just turn it off as well if you don't want that. Blade Runner.
Very.
Vangelis would have rocked this thing.
100%.
Like. And right now, this is the other key amazing thing, scales, because here we're in sen scale. I wouldn't know how to play, and it's locked in, and we can just move between those notes, and it opens up. It's literally a gateway to like another cultural reference, one I don't have, but I can start to touch. And you also get crazy things where, like, if you make a triad, like each finger's moving different numbers of notes, meaning you get all this richness and tension and resonances in between. And of course, if you want to come out of that and just show which notes are in the scale and not, you can do that. Me, I spend most of my time here because that's my, like, I have enough to think about and trying to generate bass lines, drums, all that stuff, that I've left the the music theory part up to scales and push.
That's interesting colors that come out of that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, imagine if you go to Messiaen 5, which I was using the other day.
Yeah, imagine.
It's so weird. I mean, this sounds almost comical. This will sound really crazy. Not so good, I'm not sure, but like the notes you can end up playing, they're like probably collections you might never have played before.
That's heavy.
Yeah, it is. And I've got some other really crazy examples here, which are really crazy. So here we've got a repeat setup.
Also, the higher you move on the button, the faster this moves.
Exactly, yeah. So you can really start going nuts. You can set up all kinds of hybrids, crazy instruments of your own making. You can spend 2 or 3 minutes with some effects and just make a whole space with just that, in my opinion. You know?
Printer sounds.
Yeah, we had that. This one's nuts.
Oh, damn. Okay, this one's called Just Fuck Up the Sound System.
Yeah, so like, it's really low, and if you push your finger up, and it goes up to reverb. And if you use like Max for Live and some of the mapping stuff, you could start having individual stuff going on per note. Like, that's a different instrument here from there, right?
Oh, sick.
Yeah, so you can go nuts with this stuff.
I mean, there's this guy in Brussels, or there's a company in Brussels called Beat Surfing, Pascal from Beat Surfing.
Love what they're doing.
Yeah, he developed this plugin called Low, which is very,
Yeah.
So this can also send MPE to Ableton, right? If you do want to just use an external VST,
for sure,
you can just accept that you're going to use the computer and use this as a MIDI controller.
That's it. You can switch off the brain of Push Standalone and use your computer and use whatever you want in there and go crazy. Honestly,
I kind of avoided MPE because I didn't see the use case for myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I think I get it.
What can I say, but hell yeah. Like, me too. I was also like, oh, you know, MPE, sure, that's nice to have. And then I started using it. I had that initial little bump of like, ooh, that was hard. And then I was like, wait.
Yeah.
With a few fingers, because I'm always about doing more with less, I can do a lot more. You know?
Clear. And now what I want us to do next is to strip out that Ableton sound entirely.
Yeah.
And to just send a bunch of MIDI notes out to the modular.
Let's give it a bash.
Let's figure it out. Yeah, so I've ordered all the connectors for Ableton Push. So some of these should let us connect this to the modular, right?
They should indeed.
So it's not the MIDI adapters that we need. So for today, I've made this custom, unique, one-of-a-kind modular synthesizers, which is basically an entire box with nothing in it but one thing, which is the Ballista Blast by Shakmat. And with a little bit of luck, that is now public. And basically this is a sort of a acid synth voice, more or less. It's a synthesizer voice that can do a lot of different timbres, but it's a monophonic, kind of a tough synthesizer voice. And so I've connected the out of that to the input of a little sound card that I'm just going to hook up to Ableton. And so what I want is I want to feed it signals from the push. I want to feed it a gate signal and a pitch CV signal. So basically 2 CV signals from the push sequencer. That's the challenge.
Want to feed it, make it angry, make it scream?
Exactly.
Let's give it a try.
Let's give it a shot. Okay, so we've got things set up in a way that out of the guitar pedal output, there are CV and gate information coming into the Ballista Blast, so into my little Checkmat synthesizer. And you can hear the synthesizer makes this kind of pop pop, kind of acidy sound. And we're now going to program a sequence from here that's going to trigger that. Let me just noodle this for a bit.
I'm all about the noodles.
Okay, Checkmat, let's go. Yeah. This is exactly what I wanted to get to. I'm so happy. Okay, I need to experiment with this to see how I'm going to incorporate a modular into my workflow. But I can already see I'm going to do at least a drum rack of techno, kind of doing what I used to do on the Electron analog rhythm. I'll use the same kind of pad setup as that. And then maybe another channel of percussion or something like that. And then a channel of modular plus effects. And then some external MIDI controllers, I think. There's a techno artist called Norbak who does basically performs with Ableton Push in standalone mode and 2 Allen and Heath controllers. It's very aesthetic setup.
Yeah, they look very nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. And so, yeah, it's inspiring to see that this is possible. So I look forward to designing something for myself.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be a good HQ control launch pad, sketch pad for the heart of your setup.
Amazing. I can't wait to design a small modular that will actually give me a lot of sound sculpting options. Thank you so much for showing me this, Andri.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Nice. This is incredible, Andri. Thank you. Before we round off, is there anything you would like to plug, anything you would like to share with the audience?
For sure, yeah. If you'd like to find out more about Push, check out the Push Bible channel on YouTube or check out the Push Bible course itself on workshop.eu. I'm sure there'll be a link below somewhere. And if you're interested in Playground, my live set, that's also something you can check out. And you always get in touch if you've got questions.
Amazing. All right. I need to go have some fun with my Push, so you'll have to excuse me. See you all in the next video. Take care.